Today, the northern foothills of the Turkmen-Khorasan mountain range, near the Caspian Sea, appears to be barren and largely uninhabited. But thousands of years ago, this landscape told a different story. Rolling steppes stretched across the land, which was ideal for grazing, and rivers carved fertile paths, nurturing early farming communities. This region once stood at the heart of a vast network of ancient trade routes, a vibrant artery which connects many corners of Asia, from Egypt and Mesopotamia to the Indies and even distant China. Here flourished the Margiana Civilization, which is also known as the Bactrian-Margiana Archaeological Complex, or BMAC. Spanning across parts of modern-day Turkmenistan and southern Russia, it was one of the great yet often overlooked civilizations of the ancient world. At the core of the Bactrian-Margiana Archaeological Complex, there was more than 300 settlements peacefully nestled within the valleys that trace the headwaters of the Oxus River. Among them, one of the settlements stood out, Gonur. Most likely, the capital of this ancient civilization, Gonur, was a meticulously planned city positioned along the Murghab River. The centerpiece, or the heart of this city, was a temple citadel and a palace compound, which was separated by roughly 300 meters. This palace was built around 2500 BCE. It was an architectural marvel. The shape was almost perfectly square, measuring around 120 by 125 meters. And it was encircled by a fortified wall, which was punctuated with towers. Outside those punctuated walls, low-lying altars were placed as an exposed element. These altars gives us a hint that fire rituals was an important part of their belief system. Yet curiously, no images of deities have ever been found. Reaching the throne room in the citadel at Gonur required a deliberate journey. One has to go through 2 long audience halls and 2 sharp left turns to reach the throne room. At the palace's heart, the king's residence and other residential quarters are placed. To add more functions to the design, courtyards were added to the west. It was a masterpiece design that reflected both function and ceremonial grandeur. Within the palace grounds of Gonur, archaeologists uncovered a chapel and a sprawling mortuary complex. These findings suggest that people of Gonur used to do deep ceremonial practices tied to death and the afterlife. But one of the most puzzling discoveries was a suite of rooms which has no doors. It was completely sealed and filled with clean river sand. Their purpose still remains a mystery. Some scholars believed that these sealed chambers belonged to an earlier palace, which is now ritually protected and preserved. A long stairway led to the rooftop above these rooms, which indicates that rituals may have taken place under the open sky. Perhaps they want sacred rites to be performed far from the eyes of the public. The palace walls were adorned with artistic motifs. These motifs show a striking resemblance to styles from West Asia, Anatolia, and even Minoan Crete. All these signs shows that this was not an isolated culture, Instead, it was a civilization which was deeply connected to the broader ancient world. Did the people of Gonur migrate from these regions, bringing their traditions with them? Or were they a product of a wider cultural evolution, sweeping across ancient Asia? The mystery remains unsolved. Nearby, the temple district was placed, which was laid out in a parallelogram shape. This shape was the result of several phases of construction under several rule of kings. At its heart, a central fort marked the final stage of its development. This fort was a standing testament to the spiritual and political importance of the site. To the west of Gonur, a vast burial ground stretches across the plain. This ground holds the remains of nearly 5,000 individuals. But these were no ordinary interments. The bodies present here were not laid to rest immediately. Instead, they were first purified by fire. This fire ritual was both striking and deeply symbolic. This discovery has led archaeologists to draw fascinating connections to Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism is the ancient Persian faith, which also believes purification by fire as sacred practice. This suggests that the roots of Persian beliefs may trace back to the Margiana civilization itself. As for the fate of this once thriving culture, the answers remain elusive. Some scholars argue that ecological decline forced its people to migrate towards east to India or westward into Mesopotamia. And there, these people made a huge contribution to the great upheavals that transformed these regions between 1600 and 1200 BCE. In the silence of these forgotten graves, we hear the whispers of a civilization that shaped the spiritual and cultural currents of the ancient world, and then vanished into history.